Hello and welcome back to my channel, Cards by Melissa Minor. Today I am going to be working on another sketch, 2024. This is a class that I'm participating in. Allison Davis hosts the class, and it's put on by Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. This is the second layout that I've created in my series. I am doing this every month. I will link the playlist down below in the description box. And I will also list a link of how you can find out how to participate in this sketches course if you're interested. Okay, let me bring in these adorable pictures of my daughter. This is my daughter Tatum, and this is when she was in the 6th grade. Look at that. She is just singing her little heart out. So when she was in the 6th grade, her class performed You Can't Stop the Beat from the Hairspray musical. And I think this is one of my favorites. My daughter's in high school now, and I'm just getting around to scrapbooking all of her talent shows. And she did a talent show every year from the 1st grade all the way through till 8th grade. And so this is the one I'm going to do today, and I've already matted my pictures, as you can see here, and I've matted them on this flamingo cardstock. And so I think that this is going to look nice. I have various pictures here, and my pictures vary in size from 2.5 to 3.5, and then I have a 4 by 3.5, another 2.5 by 3.5, 3.5 by 3.5, and let's see, a 2.5 by 3.5 and a 2.5 by 3.5. And these are the suggestions that Allison did suggest for option 16. She gives so many different choices. All right, here I am bringing in this cute little paper pack. This is new. I purchased this from Close to My Heart, and this is called Gnomes for Spring. And as you can see here, we've got a plaid paper, we've got some stripes, we've got some clouds, there's some gnomes playing in like a little garden, and then there's also another just like outdoor garden paper. And then we've got just some words that go along with spring. So I think this is going to work really nicely for my photos. And then I've already cut out this adorable little gnome. And let me bring in my picture here. So you can see I've added the little polka dots with my white gel pen to the gnome. And she's got the hair that really just matches my daughter. I'm also going to be bringing in this stamp set that is also available from Close to My Heart. This is in the Gnomes for Spring kit, and the stamp set is called Gnomes for Spring Scrapbooking. Then they've also got these little acrylic shapes, and there's a butterfly, and then there's some flowers. And you can see, oh, I did use a little flower here on the gnome. I do have a gnome assembly process video that I will link down below in the description box if you're interested in seeing how I put that together. Okay, so I'm going to bring in here some removable glue dots and just start assembling my layout. So I am starting with a glacier base, and you can see here Close to My Heart cardstock is two-toned. So I'm using the lighter side of the paper. So I'm going to get this cardstock adhered down, and this is going to be my base for both layouts. Now, this is my interpretation of Allison's sketch. There aren't really any measurements for this one. She did give the measurements if you were doing a single page, but I've really modified mine. And like I said, she gives so many different variations. Here I'm showing you that my white piece of cardstock, I've cut that down. And so I have this 11 by 11.5. And I'm going to put this here in the center of this glacier cardstock so that I have a 1/4 inch border all the way around my paper, except for on the left sides, because my pages are going to meet up there in the middle, and so I don't want to have the border there on that left side because I want my photos to go across and meet up. So I'm just getting this glued down. And I said 1/4 of an inch. I'm sorry, I meant 1/2 an inch. I've got a 1/2 inch border all the way around this layout. Okay, so I'm bringing in my My Sweet Petunia Precision Glue Press, and I am putting on the glue here and just getting this glued down. I love my glue press. I could not live without it. It is amazing. And let me just get this lined up. And so now you can see when you put these together, how those will look like it's one continuous page. And then, but really it's not. It's, you know, it's 2 separate layouts. Okay, these are the papers that I've decided to go with today. And so for this cloud paper, I am going to do this at, I believe this is 10 3/4 by 4. Okay, and then this other one I'm gonna do, it looks like it's, I believe 9.5 by 4. And so I want one piece, I want the I want the cloud piece to be a little bit longer than that other piece. And then I'm just gonna put the photos. So we've got, you know, the layered look here. And then I'll put the photos right there. So let me see. I think I wanna go ahead and glue this plaid paper down. And I wanna glue this plaid paper down. Let's see, I think at about 2.5. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the back of here, and I'm going to come up on my Versamat here. I'm just double checking, like, do I have the right one? It's the same piece of paper. One side is the clouds, and then the other side is that beautiful plaid. My glue keeps falling over here. I have a cord right here, and so it kind of is sticking. Okay, so I'm going to glue this down at 2.5. And then for the cloud paper, I'm going to glue this one down at about that 6-inch mark. And so let me put some glue on the back of this page. Now, whatever I do on this left page here, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process on the right-hand page, and I'll do that off camera. So I'll show one side here on camera. Okay, so that looks good. And then I've got these, let's see, I've got this little zip strip. So this is the branding strip that came on the top of the paper. And again, that's that same length. And so I'm going to get that adhered down, and I'm just going to put this right on the top of the bottom of that paper. And so then that will line up nice. And there's just giving it these extra paper layers. And then I've got this little piece of the yellow that I'm just going to anchor it with, and I'm going to glue that down. So one thing Allison had talked about in her class is that the design is fairly easy to stretch across both pages, and you can just play around with the different photos to find the ones that work best for you. And then, you know, if you feel like that this layout has too much white space for you, you can always add a large background piece to the whole layout to cut some of the white space down. But I think that with this cloud paper, I can really play up the cloud theme by adding some clouds. So I have went ahead and cut some clouds on my Cricut, and I think that that's how I'm going to help address some of that extra white space. So I'm just looking here at where I want to glue these photos down, and I'm going to bring in some adhesive here, and I'm going to add those at about the 5.5 inch mark. I'm going to match the bottom up to that 5.5 inch mark. And I think that that's going to give me a plenty of room here to add in my title. I am going to be adding in the title to the bottom left page. Okay, so I have all of that glued down. And here we go. I've brought in the right side, so you can see I just mirrored everything that I did on the left. I've mirrored it with the right. Okay, so let me move this layout out of the way. And I want to do some inking on these clouds. So I did cut them out in some various sizes on my Cricut. And I'm going to be bringing in some close to my heart glacier ink. And I just want to go around the edges just to give these clouds a little more interest. And I don't want them blending in with my background. I could have cut them out with glacier cardstock, but I thought that the glacier cardstock would have been just too dark. I wanted a white cloud, but I wanted to give it some extra dimension and interest by giving it some shading and some color. So I'm going around the edges here. And then one thing, if you follow Allison very long, you'll know that she is famous for her stitching. And so off camera, I decide to go in. Here's a look at the clouds. Off camera, I decide to go in and add some stitching of my own to these clouds. And I have a whole new respect. Here's my clouds that I've stitched. And stitching is no joke. Like, it takes a lot of time. And so I have a whole new respect for those that stitch on their layout. So here I'm showing, I think I want to do 3 embellishment clusters. And this is where Allison had suggested that you add the clusters onto your page. She suggested the lower left, and then the top left, and then the upper right. And so I've cut out some banner strips here in the various papers that came in the paper pack and the cardstock. And I'm going to mess around with this for quite a while. So I'm adding the different little pieces. And one thing that Allison had in her sketches is she had a banner going different directions. So anytime that I've ever done a banner, I've only done them where the bannered piece was facing down. And she actually had some banners going down and up. And so this is new for me. And so I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. Now, one of the things that I just really didn't like about putting the banner, some of them up and some of them down, is I didn't like where you could see where they met in the middle. Now in Allison's, I felt like she used some stitching to go across, and that kind of tied them together, literally tied them together. But after all my stitching on the clouds, I thought that was enough for a beginner for stitching. And so I thought that I would bring in the clouds to go over these banner elements. And so once I get the banners positioned the way I want them, and I won't make you watch all of this here, I'll just put them down, and they will change a little bit as we go throughout the video, but I'm trying to get one in each color and just get the placement right for these. So once I get the banners down, I'm going to add some clouds. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to add some clouds, some with the stitching and maybe a few without, because I don't have enough with the stitching, and I kind of like the look of mixing and matching them. So I'll add some with the stitching and some without to each of these little clusters, and then that will be how I will embellish my layout. So I will speed this up, and we will finish adding all the little clouds to these clusters here. All right, I have my title in position that I have cut out on my Cricut. And then I'm adding a few of these little stamped images that I have stamped and die cut using the stamp set. and I'm trying to figure out the placement of these. I have this little umbrella, and I'm not really sure if I want to keep that and this butterfly, so I'll mess around with this for a moment, just trying it in different places to see where it looks nice. So I think this is pretty much how I want it. So off camera, I went ahead and glued all of the pieces down, except for that umbrella and the little butterfly, because I'm still not sure where those are going to fit on the layout. Now I do need to still bring in some journaling, and so you can see here I also added in the little, I got the clouds glued down, and I have my little watering can. But here I'm bringing in the sticker sheet, and I'm just looking for some journal options, and there is this one circle here, and I think that's gonna work. What I'm not sure about is the white, because it is so white. So I'm gonna bring in my anti-static tool here, and I'm just gonna pounce a little bit of this powder onto the sticker. And what that's gonna do is that's just gonna remove the adhesive, so that way I can place it on my layout to see if I'm going to like it or if it's something that I'm going to want to remove. So I am doing that off camera, off to the side. I didn't want that powder to go all over my photos. So looking here at the little piece, I am thinking that the white, I do like the journaling spot, but I think that that white onto the white cardstock, it needs something. So I'm going to bring back in my Glacier ink, and I'm just going to go around the edges here of the little journaling sticker. And I'm going to put a little Glacier ink on the sides just to give it a little extra dimension. And then this will help it stand out against that white page. And it also is the same color of ink that I used on the clouds, and so everything will just really blend together nicely with all the colors. So my page is really coming together. I have all my embellishments on here, and that little gnome is just adorable with her little umbrella. And I like that the little umbrella on the gnome matches the photos, how there's little umbrellas in the back of the photos. And I think that the gnome, although it is something that draws attention to you, I don't think that it takes your attention off the photos. So with the journaling block, I do like that much better now that I have the ink along the edges. And so I'm going to place this off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and get some journaling written on there off camera, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the page. Now, I almost forgot about these cute little acrylic shapes, and I just remembered that I wanted to bring some of these in. So I'm thinking I want to bring in some of the butterflies. I like the little hints of color that this adds to the page. I do have all my photos matted in the pink, and so I think it just needs a little bit more pink just to tie everything together. So I'm auditioning a few of the different butterflies in the different areas, and I know I'm going to want 3 of them on the page. And so I think these are the 3 spots that I want these butterflies in. But there's also these little flowers, and I'm wondering if it makes more sense to add the flowers. I do have one of the flowers on the gnome's hat, but in the end, I am going to decide to go with the butterflies. I'm still trying to place that little stamped butterfly onto my page and the little umbrella. I'm going to give up on the stamped butterfly, but I do like the look of this stamped and die cut umbrella, and it brings the umbrella to the other side of the page, because I have an umbrella with the gnome on the left hand side of the page, and then by adding this umbrella, this will balance it out by adding an umbrella to the right hand side of the page. I also have changed the size of the butterfly. And here we go. Here's a look at the layout. I have written in my journaling, 2019 Holy Rosary Talent Show. Tatum was In the 6th grade, she performed You Can't Stop the Beat. Here's a close look of my finished pages. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, if you subscribe to my page, I do upload new content twice a week to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.